Welcome, everybody, once again to another episode of B&B Hockey Talk. I'm Aaron Bloxel with my co-host, Mr. Matt Balzer. And today's episode is brought to you by ID Seal for all your identity theft protection, whether it's social media, bank cards, driver's license, even stuff on the dark web. ID Seal can do it all for you. Check our Facebook page with a link there. That will allow you to not only support B&B Hockey Talk, but get you all your coverage that you need. And, of course, we have a new sponsor starting tomorrow for the month of June. And if you want to inquire about any sponsorship with our show, just private message us on our Facebook page. We're on both Facebook and YouTube. Remember to like, share, comment below. Let us know what you thought. Let us know what you think about your favorite hockey team. And welcome, by the way, to all the new subscribers. We love having you. Game 1, Game 2, Matt, in the books. Boston, St. Louis now tied up at 1 apiece. Man, lots to go over, lots to talk about. We had some reacquaintances with some old friends with Binnington and Backus. We got some phantom penalty calls. We had a goal that was scored with 6 men on the ice. We had guys making monstrous plays out there, whether it was hits or blocked shots. Chara taking a Tarasenko shot and getting cut from it. You had some great goaltending, some great saves, some great goals. Man, where do we even start?
I know, yeah. Well, let's start right off with Game 1. That first period, it was pretty even, and then after that, just Boston took over for the last 2 periods. I think like in the second period, they outshot St. Louis 18-3, and then St. Louis went, I think like maybe like half a period between like the second period and the start of the third where they didn't even have a shot on goal, sort of thing. But yeah, it was just all Boston for the most part in that first game. The fourth line was great. Sean Corrali, Noel Chari, and Joachim Nordstrom had a great game. Also, the Boston's power play continue to go. I thought Jordan Binnington. I thought he had like a pretty good game in Game 1. A couple goals that he probably would have won it back. I think that one on McAvoy, where it sort of just slipped under his glove. I think some people say it deflected, but I think it was more the follow through on McAvoy's shot that hit Petrangelo's stick, and I think it went straight in.
I think that was the only power play goal they got too, and they had 4 in a row in that second period, and I really felt that is what swung the momentum of that game because obviously St. Louis scored in the first and they scored early in the second to have a 2-0 lead. But then Boston seemed to take over, but they had those 4 power plays in a row. They couldn't score on the power play until McAvoy scored that shot kind of going against the flow of play. It wasn't really going against the flow of play. I guess they weren't set up. It wasn't the traditional Boston power play that we've seen, but that's what I saw the turning point of the first game.
Yeah, and then of course you brought up the Binnington Backus moment in the second period there, where there was a scrum and Backus had grabbed the back of Binnington's leg for some reason and just wouldn't let go. So Binnington just gave him the good old elbow in the face there, just saying hello. But yeah, those are the things. It's just like that Game 1, you're starting to try to get under people's skin, trying to get under the goalie's skin, because we saw Boston try to do that in Game 1, and then Game 2, St. Louis took a couple runs at Rask that both resulted in penalties with Blay and Schwartz getting goalie interference again, trying to get a piece of Rask, trying to get under his skin, because every once in a while Rask will get rattled, but at least the refs called penalties on both of those. And then I think in Game 1, Torrey Krug, that huge hit on Robert Thomas. I think that was a clean hit. At most, like, it might have been borderline, but I think it's just more like the speed. If you look, he's skating down the ice, but once when he hits the blue line, he starts gliding. Yeah. And then he hits him. I think it's a good shoulder-to-shoulder check, and it's the momentum that takes him up in the air after. But talk about like an awesome moment. No bucket, the hair flying or whatever. And of course, Robert Thomas, he didn't play in Game 2 with an unspecified injury, though. Craig Berube said it had nothing to do with the hit, but I'd say otherwise.
Well, I don't think Thomas had played much up to then either, like in that game for some reason. Sammy Blythe, by the way, is really starting to grow on me as an energetic
Mm,
kind of guy. I mean, he was on the wrong end of a few hits in game two, but it was him. I mean, he's a smaller guy and he's running bigger men out there.
mm,
But he seems to bring a lot of energy to that St. Louis team.
mm,
We also had, obviously, the Sundqvist hit in game
mm.
two. It looks like Grizzlick's going to miss the next two games with a head injury. Sundqvist suspended for one game. What were your thoughts on that hit? And then, of course, continue on with some of the other comments that you have.
Yeah. So I think I put in a comment on our Facebook page. I think it's a bit of onus on both players and a little bit of bad luck because Grizzlick's going and he passes it behind the net and he's turning, and when he does it, he loses his balance a little bit, and then Sundqvist gets him in the back of the head. But I think the one thing I don't like about Sundqvist is that you see the numbers, but it's also going to the far left side where Grizzlick's head is. It's just like he could have let up, or if he did hit him, he could have gone on the right-hand side and more towards the back. So with that, Grizzlick's head slams off against the glass because of that. And now he didn't travel with the team to Boston. And I think that's actually a pretty big loss for Boston because he's actually been playing really well. And he's one of those younger defensemen that's really good mobility-wise, moving the puck. But John Moore looks like he'll be coming into the lineup to replace him. And he's a good veteran defenseman too, so it shouldn't be much of a step back there. But yeah, some injuries because it looks like Robert Thomas will also still be out of game three, and Vince Dunn will be a game time decision as well, which is actually it actually worked out for the Blues in game two, where Vince Dunn was also a game time decision, and the guy that's stayed in the lineup for him, Gunnarsson, got the OT winner. Which is sort of crazy. And if you haven't heard like the backstory on Gunnarsson, I think on that OT winner, he rang one off the post late in the third period there, and in intermission, I think he was taking a piss, and Craig Berube was there as well, and he told him he just needed one more chance. And then look at that, he got the OT winner right after that. So you can't make that stuff up.
By the way, I think for St. Louis viewpoint, I mean, I think one game suspension for Sundqvist is fair. I mean, it's this time of year, it's tough to give suspensions out because you don't want a team to miss. But I think that doesn't hurt St. Louis as much as potentially a 5-minute major on that play would have. So I think St. Louis will take it because it could have been potentially much, much worse. And by the way, a shout out to the fan that shared the Bennington elbow on Bacchus that said the Lannisters send their regards. I thought that one was creative.
Oh man, that was good. And also I should actually another shout out to the guy that well, if we're talking about too many men coming here in game two on Boston's opening power play goal, Andrew Kemper, sorry. He showed us the photo. I totally missed it that Boston actually had 6 guys on the ice when they did score. I think usually they sometimes the refs give a little bit of leeway, but after watching it, there were 6 guys well in play on that goal. But except the ref at center ice, he was busy picking up a broken stick for some reason at the red line there. So there's a couple of controversial calls because we also saw like the Braden Shen slash where Achari. And well, I think Shen, he brings his stick down, but it doesn't touch Achari's stick, and then Achari right after shoots and breaks his stick. And that was late in the third period. And if Boston scores on that power play, we're talking about something totally different here. Also, something to bring up: Boston's top line of Marchand, Bergeron, and Pastrnak have just not looked right so far in this series. I was looking up in game two. Bergeron only played 16 minutes and 16 seconds of ice time. Where Charlie Coyle had 19 minutes, Johansson had 17 minutes and 57 seconds, and those guys I think have actually really played well, especially Johansson. I think he deserved at least a goal in that first game. I think he was playing great, and then the fourth line once again in game two played amazing as well. And then we, especially with Nordstrom with those 2 blocks on Parayko, I forget if I brought that up earlier, but nothing gets you more pumped on the bench when somebody sacrifices the body to make a huge block like that. I think that basically about sums up the 2 games.
What do you expect in St. Louis tomorrow night for Game 3?
Well, for one, that building is going to be that building's going to explode. I think the "Let's Go Blues" chants will be going crazy. 49 years waiting for your first home game, the Stanley Cup Finals in a very long time. So, it's going to be crazy. The emotions are going to be really high.
And the last game was the St. Louis Blues' first ever Stanley Cup Final win. So.
Yeah, I think they were 0 for 13 or something, if I remember correctly. I think that was the stat. And also Carl Gunnarsson, that was his with the OT winner. That was his first career playoff goal, and he's only the third player in NHL history to get his first playoff goal in the Stanley Cup Finals, and then have it be an overtime winner. The other two are Cy Wentworth with Chicago in 1931 and Brian Skrudland. Yeah, Skrudland with Montreal in 1986 are the only other two in NHL history to do that.
That one surprised me a bit because Skrudland was a really good defensive centerman for the Montreal Canadiens. But he also went to the Stanley Cup Finals, I believe, in '96 with the Florida Panthers, and I would have thought he might have got something with them against the Colorado Avalanche.
No, that Colorado team was pretty good. I think Colorado swept them, I believe, that year, right?
Yeah.
I think, and I'm trying to remember who got the. I think it wasn't something Krupp. I think got the.
Yeah, Uwe Krupp scored the OT winner to win the Stanley Cup for the Colorado Avalanche that year. And I don't think there's a whole lot of people that have done that. I know Bobby Orr did it in 1970 for the Bruins against the St. Louis Blues.
We got Alec Martinez with the LA Kings against the Rangers.
Yeah, good memory.
I don't.
Patrick Kane against the Philadelphia Flyers when nobody could find the puck.
Yeah, Patrick Kane. Man, can't believe I forgot that one. But yeah, try to remember things off the top of your head. But yeah, I think as game 3, it's gonna be really good. We'll see how Boston responds. Especially, I want to keep an eye on that top line, but also the Blues will be able to get their matchups that they want with home ice. So, but yeah, it'll be really good tomorrow.
A few re-signings in the NHL, as well as some other news and notes. Why don't we get into some of that stuff?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the biggest signing was Anders Nielsen got a 2-year extension with the Ottawa Senators, worth $5.2 million. He spent the year with Vancouver before getting traded to Ottawa. His numbers with Ottawa were actually really good. He was 11-11 with a .914 save percentage and 2 shutouts. Ottawa now has 5 goalies under contract for next season with Craig Anderson, Mike Condon, and they have 2 younger prospects down there. So it'll be interesting to see how they're going to manage that. But with Ottawa having a ton of cap room, I don't think they'll mind having that many guys making that much money. A couple smaller re-signings. Juuso Riikola with Pittsburgh got a 1-year extension. He played 37 games, more of a depth defenseman. And also going more on the trade rumors side, we had a head scratcher for us as a Canuck fan with the Louis Eriksson for Milan Lucic trade proposal.
Do it.
Oh man! All I have to do is shake my head with Lucic. Is
bad contract for a bad contract.
Yeah, except Lucic has 1 more year on his deal, which
he's younger than Eriksson, though. That's what I like about it, and he can hit.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I'd still rather have 3 more years of Louis Eriksson than 4 more years of Milan Lucic. Also, Phil Kessel nixed a deal to the Minnesota Wild. I think he just did not like the situation in Minnesota whatsoever, and good on him because I wouldn't want to go to Minnesota either if I looked at that roster. But Jeremy Roenick reported that Kessel, he only wants to go to one team, and it's a team in the Western Conference. He didn't say specifically which team, but everybody knows it's most likely the Arizona Coyotes because with Rick Tocchet being the head coach there, he was assistant coach with Pittsburgh right before that. Apparently their relationship is really good. But also Jason Zucker, man, I feel sorry for that guy because that guy just keeps his name, he just keeps coming up over and over again in trade rumors, and eventually Minnesota's going to have to do something there as well. And then also in trade rumors, a lot of stuff in with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Patrick Marleau, Pierre LeBrun reported that they might be exploring a trade with the Los Angeles Kings moving Marleau there. Of course, the connection, Todd McClellan being the coach there, and the Leafs just needing to make salary or dump a whole lot of salary so they can get Kapanen, Janssen, and Marner all under contract for next season. And also Nikita Zaitsev has also requested a trade out of Toronto, but his will be the more difficult to move.
That's an ugly contract. I don't know why.
Yeah,
How he got that, but hey, good on him. I guess they didn't want him to go back to Russia.
Yeah, because I think he's got like another 5 years of $4.5 million left on that contract. Though that wasn't a Kyle Dubas signing, that was a Lou Lamoriello. Well, same with the Marleau signing as well. So possibly Ottawa might be a team that might be looking at getting him, just because there's not going to be too many teams looking to take on that contract. Also, Jacob Trouba's name has been bringing up because the Jets, they only have so many salary cap space, and with having to sign Kyle Connor, Patrick Laine, among others this offseason, there's only so much cap room to go around. Getting on the coaching side, the Oilers signed Dave Tippett to a 3-year deal worth somewhere between the $2.753 million range. Also, they fired 2 of their assistant coaches today, Trent Yanni and Manny Viveros, who both only spent 1 year. Glenn Galton will stay on to run the power play, but that's big news coming in Edmonton.
Yeah, Edmonton's got a lot of work. I know Paul Coffey stepped down as well from position there. Obviously, we reported already Craig McTavish went to the KHL. So some of the old guard finally stepping down and getting out of the way in Edmonton. Dave Holland has his hands full there. It'll be interesting to see what other moves he makes. But we're getting closer not only to the Stanley Cup final, the NHL awards, but then the NHL draft, and, of course, free agency, which is Christmas Day in North America for 31 NHL teams. It'll be interesting to see what happens, and there's going to be lots of speculations and rumors, I'm sure, until then. Lots of teams tight on cap space, and a few teams that can take on cap. I'm curious to see what happens. I think you'll see some teams like the Rangers be able to rebuild quite quickly based on what they've done with the youth movement and potentially a few free agents here and there. So final word before we end today's show.
Yeah, there's a couple of things. So for you Canuck fans, this some more good news here. And Artemi Panarin liked another comment on Instagram towards a Vancouver Canuck comment where somebody just posted, like, oh, Vancouver is such a great city or whatever, and he liked it. So this is the second time in a week, and he hasn't done that for any other teams in the NHL. So hey, you never know. We to have a line of Panarin, Pettersson, and Besser next year, I'd take that.
Not going to happen. I can't see them playing together on a line, even if they did sign Panarin. I think somebody would, either Besser or Panarin, would be playing with Horvat. Yeah,
but that's it. I don't know. It's just like you want to keep the excitement level down, but hey, when you see a superstar player like that, you know who's going to go to free agency doing that. You got to start taking it a little bit more seriously. And a couple other things. Bob Booner returned to the San Jose Sharks as an assistant coach. He spent 2 years as a head coach with the Florida Panthers between 2017 and 2019. And also Yevgeny Kuznetsov, if you missed all the cocaine video stuff, the NHL has cleared him of all that stuff. And there will be no punishment, even though they don't condone what was being shown in that video. If you missed it, it was last year after the Stanley Cup Finals tour in Russia. It still looked like he was like in some hotel room, and he said that he sort of got invited by some of his buddies. But when he saw what was sort of going on, he ended up leaving a little while after that. And also with Canuck news, the Aquilinis have a lot of allegations going against them. It's been reported that they denied workers water, saying that they forced the workers to work like an hour picking like 15 pounds of blueberries before they would give them that, and then some other stuff. So I'm hoping the NHL will look into that, because it's been like 3 days and they haven't commented on that. But so this shows that Eugene Melnyk isn't the only bad owner out there with stuff going his way, though Melnyk's in a whole nother level by himself, sort of thing. But otherwise for tomorrow, Game 3 goes at 5 o'clock. We will have all highlights up on our Facebook page. No delays this time. I think don't have any hockey for a couple of weeks now, so there won't be any delays, and hopefully it'll be another good game.
Well, I am a bit more of a veteran than Matt. I mean, I remember the days that the Canucks had signed Wayne Gretzky as a free agent, but then it never happened, and we ended up getting Mark Messier. So I try to reserve myself a little bit when there's speculation. I know Matt's excited about Panarin, but hey, we'll see in about a month's time if that comes true or not. So again, I'm Aaron. He's Matt. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Remember to like, share, comment below, whether you're following us on YouTube or on our Facebook page. That's B&B Hockey Talk. We thank you guys for all your support. If you want to support us financially, again, you can look into our sponsors of each month. There's always a link there that you can capitalize on that product and help us out financially on the show. So again, we'll be back next week. Enjoy Game 3 on Saturday night. We'll be back Monday night to recap that as well as preview Game 4 and catch up on all the news of hockey around the world, not just the NHL. We support all hockey leagues. Hope everyone has a great evening and a better weekend, and we'll see you guys all next week.